Welcome to Excel Zero, everyone. Sobero Neo G&D Reviews here with a servant spotlight for Best Dad, Assassin Emiya. We'll be examining his stats and skills, as well as going over pointers on how to utilize him effectively, and an overall grade comparing him to how he stacks up to the other 4-star servants. I also have a spotlight out for the new 5-star servant Iskander as well, so do check that out right after this. And now, onto Emiya's stats. Emiya has a max HP of 11,168, which is average for a 4-star assassin and a little below average among all 4 stars overall. His max attack of 8,958 is average when compared to other 4-star assassins, but on the low end among all 4 stars in general, especially when you factor in his 0.9 times assassin damage modifier, which effectively brings his attack down to 8,062. Now looking at his skills. His first skill is Magecraft rank B, which increases arts card effectiveness for 1 turn between 24 to 40% depending on level. His second skill is Grace of the Holy Grail rank A+, which applies Ignore Invincibility for 3 turns, increases his crit strength for 3 turns between 30 to 50% depending on level, and decreases the debuff resist of all allies except himself by 20%. His final skill is Scapegoat rank C, which taunts enemies to attack 1 ally for 1 turn, and grants between 5 to 15 critical stars depending on level. For his passives, he has Presence Concealment rank A+, which increases crit star drop rate by 10.5%, and Independent Action rank A, which increases crit strength by 10%. Taking a look at his deck and Noble Phantasm, he has a light arts deck with Quick, Arts Buster, and an Arts Noble Phantasm. His Noble Phantasm is Cronus Rose. It deals significant damage to a single enemy with a 900% to 1500% damage modifier depending on level. It also has a chance to decrease enemy charge by 1, and it decreases enemy critical hit rate for 3 turns between 10 to 50% depending on overcharge. This can be upgraded through an interlude, which will increase the damage modifier to between 1200 to 1800 depending on level. Taking a closer look at his cards, we see that his quick card hits 4 times, his arts hits twice, his buster hits 6 times, and his extra attack hits 8 times. He has a Noble Phantasm gain rate of 0.46% and a star rate of 25.60%. This equates to amazing star generating because of the high hit counts on his cards, but pretty horrible Noble Phantasm gain because of his atrocious Noble Phantasm gain rate. The first thing you should know about Assassin Emiya is, contrary to popular belief, he is in fact not an offensive caster. Believe it or not, he's in fact an assassin, and a pretty decent one. His stats are admittedly a little below average, but where he shines is in his utility. For one thing, despite his non-quick deck, Emiya is one of the best crit star generators in the game, easily capable of generating upwards of 20 stars on a turn thanks to his insane 8-hit extra card. And this gives him a very special niche as a crit star generator for arts teams. And he has a nice set of skills as well. Magecraft is just a standard arts buff, and it's unfortunately on the weaker side considering it maxes at 40%, but it is very necessary to compensate for his low attack. His second skill, Grace of the Holy Grail, provides him with an invincibility, pierce, and crit damage buff. The crit damage helps compensate for his low attack, and both the crit buff and invincibility pierce last 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. So this is a pretty abusable skill. Unfortunately, the demerit also lasts 3 turns and can be pretty significant, which deters you from abusing the skill too often. And his third skill is his most unique. It's a targetable taunt. There are no other targetable taunt skills in the game, so already that makes this skill noteworthy, but on top of that, it also enables some pretty interesting combos and can be very effective in the right situation. Obviously, the best use would be to target an ally with evade or invincibility active, but it can also be used, as the name suggests, to draw fire onto Emiya or someone else to maybe save an ally who's close to death, or to target Angra Mainyu when his Noble Phantasm is active. There are a lot of creative ways to use this skill, and the crit stars you get are a nice extra bonus. You should prioritize maxing Magecraft first, however, as it's necessary to do any real damage, followed by Scapegoat to lower the cooldown on the taunt and generate more crit stars, followed finally by Grace of the Holy Grail. I personally prioritize Scapegoat over the crit damage buff because the taunt is more integral to Emiya's kit, and ideally you want him creating crit stars for someone else, not for himself. Unfortunately, Emiya's Noble Phantasm is lackluster despite being single target because it doesn't do much damage. You'll find more use out of that Noble Phantasm charge decrease most of the time. Emiya's Noble Phantasm actually highlights his two biggest problems, his lack of power and his horrendous Noble Phantasm gain. Despite an arts-leaning deck, Emiya's Noble Phantasm gain is atrociously bad, and even when you do get your Noble Phantasm off, it does so little damage it's often not even worth it. Like Edison, Emiya's usefulness is very situational and it depends entirely on your team comp. On his own, he's flat out bad, but as a star generator on an arts team or in a team that can exploit his taunt, he can be a very high utility servant. Although even at his best, he doesn't shine as much as Edison. Team comp is everything for Emiya. He exists almost solely to provide utility to a small subset of servants. His best use is as a crit star generator for arts teams, so he can work exceptionally well with Nursery Rhyme, Li Shuwen, Shiki Assassin, Archer Emiya, and Orion. He can also just work as a general crit star generator for servants like Rama, Jalter, Gil, Okita, Ku Prototype, and Skahawk, but be aware that his deck won't synergize as well on Buster and Quick teams. And of course he can work well with servants who can exploit his taunt. Ideally defensive servants with invincibility or high defense that can absorb damage, so Mosh, George, Leonidas, Tamamo, John, Dayon, and regular Nero and Boudica. His Bondcraft Essence, Where the Sun Cannot Reach, boosts arts and quick card effectiveness for the whole team by 10%. This is a good Bondcraft Essence, especially for supporting servants with similar decks like Assassin Shiki, but the best craft essences are the ones that boost his crit star generating. In that regard, I highly recommend Be Elegant, Moonlight Fest, and Kitchen Pâtissière, and of course 2030 is just as good on him as it is on any other star generating support. If you want to go damage, then focus on crits, so Another Ending, Gudao, and Gem Magecraft are good choices. And if you really want Noble Phantasm gain, I recommend Prisma Cosmos or Beast Under the Moonlight. Overall, Emiya's usefulness really depends on how strong of a team you can build around him that he can support. As a crit star generator, he's top tier, he packs a tremendously nifty skill with his taunt, and if you can shake off the demerit on his second skill, he can even be a decent crit servant. On the other hand, his non-crit damage is very low, he only works well with a very specific subset of servants, limiting his flexibility, and his Noble Phantasm gain is terrible. But all things considered, his strengths as a star generator are hard to ignore, so he gets a C+ from me. Undoubtedly, Emiya can be fantastic given the right team, but his overall usefulness for most people will be very limited, especially if you have a star generator or offensive assassin already, and most people have Shiki, so there's that. And those are my thoughts on Emiya Assassin. If you have an art crit servant like Nursery Rhyme or Archer Emiya, I think it'll work very well. But for everyone else, we have another arts assassin just a little ways away who might do more for you. Let me know what you think and if you rolled him in the comments below, and please do check out the Iskander Spotlight link both on screen right now and in the description. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing if you really enjoyed the video. Join the party over at our Discord, chill with us on Twitch, and follow us on Twitter. And I'll see you all in the next Servant Spotlight. Soberoni out. Later.